All right, guys. This is gonna be a video that I just spurred a moment, just decided to make, kind of out of nowhere, but kind of not really, because I've been really thinking about this for a while, but I didn't really know if I should, speak on it or if I should not speak on it. But I'm scrolling through my YouTube, like I'm leaving work, and I'm scrolling through my YouTube, and I get and I get suggested this video, and I see the title, and the title is like, what does she bring to the table? Right. And I've been seeing this question a lot, especially if you guys look at the red pill space of YouTube. A lot of YouTubers will have this discussion. And I've been really frustrated with it because I think not just as a married man, but I think just as a person in general that like cares about people, I've been really frustrated with it because I feel like the question in and of itself um, is very misleading, and it actually shouldn't be asked. It should never be a question that anybody needs to ask, but yet this always seems to be like the topic of discussion when it comes to uh you know guys talking about the value of women and whether or not she brings something to the table when it comes to their relationship. And I think the premise of even asking that question is inherently flawed, right? Because when it comes to the nature of a relationship, like think about it this way. Think about it this way. When it comes to your like friends, like the friends that you like to hang out with, not like your partners or your significant other, but just your friends. You never ask that question. I don't ask this of my friends like, why am I friends with this person? What does this person bring to the table? Because what you're doing when you ask that question, basically you're saying is, uh, if I'm going to be in a relationship with this person, then there has to be value to me. Therefore, I won't be in a relationship with this person. And that is what we call conditional love, or love based on certain conditions or parameters. Well, what we know of what, and honestly, it's the reason why a lot of relationships don't last, because it's conditional, right? You do something for me, and the moment you stop doing that, or the moment those things don't add value to me, we are no longer in relationship with each other. And you got to understand that when it comes to a marriage or any significant other type of relationship, it is basically the next level of friendship, right? It is a level beyond friendship. And so if you wouldn't say that for a friend, then why would you even ask that question for your spouse or your significant other? You should never ask this question of, what do you bring to the table? Because your significant other, your wife, your husband, your whatever, represents the closest kind of friendship you're ever going to have with any other human being on this earth. And if you wouldn't do that for your basic friends, why in the world would you ask that question to someone you love as much as your wife or your husband? It just doesn't make sense. And so the fact that people are asking this question, having whole debates, doing podcasts, and misleading a whole generation, a section of YouTube around this question of what's the value of marriage and why would you even enter a relationship, because what does this person bring to the table? Right. And I've seen like the dumbest responses, honestly. It really bothers me. But I've seen the dumbest responses where a guy might ask that question, and then the girl might come in and say, well, I bring intimacy, and I cook and I clean and everything. And let me tell you this. Let me just keep it like 100 with you guys. The reality of it is what they'll do is they'll respond. There's always going to be a rebuttal to that question. What do you bring to the table? Doesn't matter what you say, right? A woman or a man could bring the most unique thing to a relationship that no one else could bring, but there can always be a rebuttal. If a girl says, well, I cook and I clean or whatever, the guy will say, oh, well, do you work and make money? And it just or what do you bring to the table? Well, I bring physical intimacy. Well, guys are like, well, I can get that anywhere else. And that's true. There's always going to be a rebuttal to whatever. So to me, it's just ridiculous that we're even asking this question. We should stop asking this question. because what it does is it puts a conditional value on something that was never meant to be conditional. Like, never, right? Like, my wife, I completely love the fact that when I come home, stuff is clean, food is ready, my clothes are folded, everything like that. But here's the thing. I've never asked her to do that. And I'll never will. And I'll never expect that of her. And if she wants to do that, I'm going to let her do that. And I'm going to love her for it. And I'm going to thank her. And I'm going to be so grateful for it. But I'm never going to expect that of her, because the moment I do, then it becomes, my love of her will start to become conditional. And that was not how our marriage was designed to be, right? The reason why I married her was because she was my best friend, right? And she was somebody that I genuinely love hanging out with day in and day out. I genuinely love doing it. And so for no other reason other than the fact that I just want to keep hanging out with her the rest of my life, all the time, right? For no other reason. There is nothing she could do or nothing she could stop doing that's going to keep me from being like, well, I don't want to not hang out with you anymore, right? The reality of it is, when it comes to love is designed, the deepest version of love is designed to be without conditions, right? At Treehouse, we call it love without strings. That's what we say all the time. It's our tagline, right? But it seems like this concept has left our culture. And because it's left our culture, we see the problem we have with so many relationships, marriages, and things of the like failing at unprecedented rates. Because the moment people realize that things are no longer, or that our relationship is no longer adding value to them, they quit. They leave. And that's not how it works, right? And again, the question that we're going to bring it back to, this question of what do you bring to the table, insinuates that you are demanding that your significant other bring something to a table, which, first of all, in a concept of relationship, there's a table is a table and a relationship is a relationship. They're not the same thing. But the fact that you would equate the two would say that your significant other has to bring something of value to you, which will in turn, therefore, allow you to make a commitment to marry that person or to stick with that person up until the point where they stop bringing that, right? Let me tell you this. My dad had terminal cancer. And as hard as it was for my mom, she stuck by him until the very, very end. And I mean, this man couldn't get out of bed. She was cleaning up biological bowel movements and messes and crazy things. And he was struggling to make money because he was sick all the time. She wasn't like, oh, you're not bringing something to the table, right? Because you're sick. That's not how it works. It just wasn't how it works. No, she stuck by him to the end. Why? Because that man mattered to her more than anybody else. Nothing he could do about it. Nothing he could not do about it. It just is what it was. And so they were married up until they couldn't be married anymore because he passed away. That's how it worked. That's called love without conditions. That's what makes a marriage last, right? And it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. And there's going to be times when you don't want to, but you still do it because that person matters to you, not because they give you anything, simply because they're important to you. And when people start to understand that concept and stop asking this question of what do you bring to the table, when we finally get to the place where we're ready to like be real men and women and stop messing around with these silly arguments, I think we'll start seeing real change in our culture. And I think we'll start seeing a real love and real lasting relationships. And marriage will mean something, because for me, marriage is a covenant. It's not just a promise, but it's something that I've committed myself to doing for the rest of my life. And it's as simple as that. And I'm not going to quit for any other reason other than the fact that I said I was going to do something, so I'm going to do it because I said I was going to do it. There's no other reason, right? There's nothing she could do. There's nothing she could not do. I'm in it, long haul, and I'm about it because I love it and I love her. So again, man, I'm sorry. I just had a rant for a little bit, but man, if y'all with me, if y'all feel me, like the video. If y'all want to see more things like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But again, I just appreciate y'all listening. And yeah, I'm going to see y'all guys in the next video. Peace.